All right, Algebra 2. So 9-5, we're going to go start off with a square root problem. Then we're going to show you guys how to graph a cubic root on your calculator. So go ahead, looking at our warm-up here for square root, try it out. Starting with the same thing, axis of symmetry. We're changing our x value, vertex, change and keep. And then I would just graph that, -3, 5. Okay. And then looking at stretch or compress, remember this is between 0 and 1, so we're compressing. And let's see, where would we go here? Let's find our slope. So we'd start at -3, go to -2, -1, and we'll make that another table at 0. Okay, so when I plug those numbers into x, remember if I always have an x, I can get a y. So I'm plugging those in. Okay, so that gives us a better estimate of where we can put some of those points. So I'm going to 0, 3.8 here. So this is pretty shallow here, not super steep. And I went down, remember, because we're negative there. All right, negative for our A. So that tells us that our domain is going to go from -3 to infinity. And our range is going to go from -infinity all the way up till 5. All right, so let's look at a cubic root. A cubic root, so when I look at x to the third, it kind of looks like this. So when I do cubed root of x, it actually flips and it looks like this. So they've got a lot of similarities there. So if I look at a cubic root, we're going to cross right there in the middle, and our domain and range, if you notice, have no restrictions. So our domain left to right, -infinity to infinity, we're moving this way and that way forever. And our range also -infinity to infinity, low to high. So my arrow down here is going down forever and up forever. Even though it's going really, really slowly, it's still moving. And a couple of things about calculators. If we're looking at a fraction, remember that is just using the division symbol. And I would suggest using parentheses. This helps out with fractions quite a bit. All right, and the other thing, in order to get that cubic root function, you're going to press math, which is right there. And then you're going to press the number 4, and that's going to get you the cubic root. All right, so let's look at some of these graphs here. So if I go to y equals on my calculator, and I'm going to put this equation in here. So I'm going to put in 4/5. So I'm going 4 divided by 5 in some parentheses for my fraction. Then I want this cubed root. So I'm going to go math, then 4. That gives me my cubed root. Then I'm putting in x minus 3. So x minus 3, we're not plugging in here. This is where we put the whole equation. Now, if I keep going, it's going to keep me in the radical, so I need to press the right button to get out of the radical, and then +2. So when I press graph, notice that middle of the graph is shifted over. Okay, that's because of all of these shifts. So let's look at how we can see that. Axis of symmetry, all that works the same. Flip it here to positive. Vertex, keeping it +3, +2. So we'll plot that point. So there's my +3, +2, which we can see up in this graph here, right there. Okay, 3, 2, if we were to get spot on. Okay, so then I want to talk stretch or compress. Well, it's 4/5, so that is part of a whole. That's a compression. And domain, as you can see in that graph on the right, -infinity to infinity, right? I mean, these are always going to be moving in both directions, no matter how slowly they move. All right, so this helps us estimate that we're going to be about here to there. All right, let's check out this next graph. Axis of symmetry, we'll try it out here first, then see if we're right. Okay, axis of symmetry here, opposite of 1, so -1. We'll keep that for our x value, the vertex, and -4 for the y. So we'll plot that, -1, 2, and 3, and 4 down here. And we're going to compress again 1/2. And pay attention, y'all, this is a negative 1/2, so that means it's going to drop down. So look at how this one was positive, and from the middle, it goes up as I go right. When it's negative, it's going to go down as I go right from the middle. All right, so we're still going to be looking at that same domain and range. Nothing's going to change that for a cube root unless there's some kind of a gap in the graph, which we haven't quite talked about yet. So there are going to be some kind of compression. So now I'm going to go over to my calculator on the right, and I'm going to go take this graph away and put in the next one. So parentheses negative 1/2. Then I'm going math 4 in order to get the cubed root, x plus 1, and then go to the right, minus 4. So let's graph. All right, sweet. So our vertex point right over here, about -1, -4. Very good here. And that shows us how steep we're going to go. So look at what I was talking about here. From the middle, it goes down, and that's because it's negative. Okay, so that's because that A value is negative. So, ooh, a little off. There we go. Closer. All right, so look at between positive and negative. So positive goes up from the middle, negative goes down from the middle. All right, and let's check out this last one. Looks a little different only because this is our K value in the wrong spot. So we're going to rewrite that. Y equals -2/3 times the cube root of x plus 5 and then minus 4 for our K value. All right, so we can do a lot of this before graphing it. X is -5, flip it. Then I'm going to go -5 to -4. There we go. So remember, we're flipping the x, keeping the y. Now I'm going to plot that point, -5, -4. Remember, guys, if at any time you get stuck, pause the video, slow down, watch it 2 or 3 times. Guys, stretch and compress this 2/3 for our A value is what we're looking at. That is between 0 and 1 again. So maybe next time we'll look at a stretch. This time we're all about compression. All right, domain and range, staying put. Still going to go left and right forever. And it's still going to go low to high forever. All right, so let's graph this one and see how steep we're at. So y equals, going up to my last graph, deleting that. Then I'm going to put negative, I'm going to use some parentheses, -2/3. Then math 4 for our cubed root, x plus 5. Go to the right to get out, minus 4. So when we graph it, there we are. There's our vertex over here. -5, -4. And we're dropping down from the middle because A is negative. So from that middle point, we're going to drop down. All right, guys, so that's some work on how to graph the cubed root function. Hope that helped, and good luck as you get mathy.